What's up, guys? Charlie here. Welcome back to Conquering Kerbal Space Program. We just got a report from the Kerbin Observatory, which is on the other side of Kerbin, and they've decided to investigate some of the bodies that we've been to already. Of course, that's just Minmus and the Moon, but they've been paying extra attention to the Moon, and they've discovered that there are some interesting anomalies on the surface of the Moon. And they are so interested in that they have commissioned us to go and investigate them. Now, of course, we were just like, okay, cool, there's some interesting stuff on the Moon, but we've already kind of said we're not going to go to the Moon. We don't really care about the Moon all that much. You know, it's just this big, it's whatever. We want to go other places. We don't want to spend our time on that. And then they said, well, how about we sweeten the deal and give you $1.1 million. $1.1 million is what they're going to pay us to go to do this. So we are going to take part in that. The Anomaly Surveyor Group has commissioned us to go to the Moon and research and, I guess, visit the arches. So that's what we're going to do. And this is the craft we're going to be doing it with. We've got the lithobrake command pod here, as well as a lander can underneath. Now, I don't need this many crew to do it. I probably could have a really lightweight rocket and have this be way, way better. But we have some crew here. These are all the Kerbals we have left at Kerbin right now. All right, we've got 2 pilots, an engineer, and a scientist. And the engineer and scientist haven't even been to space yet. The engineer, I had her just sort of like driving around the KSC, getting a whole bunch of science. Which, by the way, I now have gotten every single biome at Kerbin for science. I've gotten it all, and I'll show you that when we get to the launch pad. I can look up X science and I'll show you. I've gotten it all, guys, all right? There's no more science left to get at the Kerbin Space Center. It took a long time, but we got it. And I ended up getting about 1,800 more science from all the different biomes that were around Kerbin. It's crazy how many biomes there are around the Kerbin Space Center once you have all the buildings upgraded. Once you have all the buildings upgraded, like little pieces of every building and plot are all different biomes. It's crazy. Yeah, I just took a rover around and just banged out every science experiment I could. So that's pretty good. This lander can here is going to have 2 extra Kerbals, because there are some Kerbals at the space station that have never done anything. They've never gone anywhere. So we're going to take this craft here, this big rocket here, and we're going to stop by the space station. We're going to dock to it here, using the docking port, of course. We're going to dock to it. And we're gonna pull a couple of Kerbals. I don't know what they are. Maybe they're pilots, maybe they're engineers. I don't know. We're gonna pull them out and bring them with us to the Moon, so they can get some experience to the Moon. And then once we visit the arches, we'll come on back to Kerbin. We will rendezvous with the station again. Hopefully we have enough Delta V to do that. We'll rendezvous with the station again, and drop those Kerbals off at the station, and then bring this command pod back down and land again. And that'll be the mission for today. Obviously, a lot of it's going to be post-commentary, just because I can't fit all of these arches in one video. I can't do that. Maybe we do 2 videos. I don't know. I don't know how much time I want to spend on this. But as always, you can see the title for this video says Anomaly. And as always, whenever I'm going to do an anomaly contract, or things that sort of reveal a certain hidden feature in Kerbal Space Program, I'm going to label it with Anomaly. And it's going to be up to you guys as to whether or not you want to watch that episode. You can watch some of it, but when we start getting to the point where we're about ready to see the anomalies, I'm going to warn you one more time. This is it. No going back. If you don't want me to spoil it for you, if you're playing the game yourself and you want to experience them for the first time yourself, then, don't watch me explore them. So that's why I'm going to label every single anomaly contract episode as Anomaly, and I'm also going to make sure that all of the anomaly contracts are done as separate videos, just so we don't incorporate them into other things that you maybe did want to see. Okay, so save and launch. All right, you guys, we're docked, and as you can see, our frame rate has not improved. As you can also probably see, the station is moving. It's rotating right now. This is intentional. We have another problem with the station. There's another problem, yeah. This solar panel does not turn 360 degrees like I thought it does. And if it does, then it's just glitched out. Because for whatever reason, no matter how many times I rotate this station to be correct, the solar panel ends up facing away from the sun. Now, once I get it to where it's just barely right, like barely in the sun and it can kind of see the sun, once I get it there, I can time accelerate, which stops all rotation, of course, so the station will no longer be rotating. And then, when I come out of time acceleration, look it's gonna rotate now. It's gonna rotate and face the sun now. So there's something bugged with this, because I thought for sure this thing would rotate all full 360 degrees, and it looks like it does. It just needs to be able to somehow, I guess, see the sun before it rotates. It's kind of weird. So I have to rotate, and this happens every time. Every time I load the station, every time I load it when it's on rails or whatever, and I load it, it ends up oriented to where the solar panel's facing away from the sun, no matter how many times I put it to where it faces the sun, which is a little annoying. I think you can, obviously that's pretty annoying. Now it's rotating itself now. The station's no longer rotating. This panel is able to rotate itself now, because once it has a single taste of sun, then it turns itself towards the whole thing. So weird. Okay, so for our anomaly contract for going to the moon, we want to have a couple of Kerbals from the station join us in this lander can. So we need to figure out who we want that to be. So to make this easier, I'm gonna actually hit this little add slot button down here, and we're gonna hit this a couple of times. It's gonna let me see more Kerbals at the bottom of the screen, so we can kind of figure out who we want to bring. I think the maximum you can see here is 7, so I can't click it again. No, which makes sense. You don't want to get it too close to the nav ball. Okay, so who do we want to bring to the moon? Well, probably people who haven't been to the moon before. Excuse me. Liz D. Kerman is a scientist who has never been to the moon. I think Liz D. should come with us. What do you think? Maybe it might be nice to have another scientist. Let's see, Tangrid Kerman is here. She's never been to the moon. Really, I don't think hardly any of these people have been to the moon. Surefry's been there. Adblaz has not, though. He's only been in around Kerbin, and you know what? He's the guy that strutted all this stuff in the station. I think he deserves this. What do you guys think? I think Adblaz, if that's how you say his name. These names are going to change, by the way. I imagine there's quite a few people have left names by now. I don't know. Like I said, these are all pre-recorded episodes, so I don't know yet. But I imagine we have quite a few people interested in being astronauts in the game. So all these names are probably going to change, but Adblaz, I think you deserve to come with us. So I'm going to take and right-click this. We're going to say transfer crew. We're going to say transfer. And we're going to put you inside this lander can right here. There you are, sir. You are coming to the moon with us. Now, probably a scientist this time, and I'm thinking Liz D's probably a good scientist to bring. Tangrid is in the zoology bay, tending to the animals. We do need someone to tend to the animals. So I'm thinking we bring Liz D with us as well. Transfer crew. Liz D. Kerman. Bring her in the pod right here. There we go. Awesome. So when we go to, if I was going to, what am I thinking of right now? If I was going to weld this whole thing together, right? If I was going to do that, how would I do it? Well, I'm thinking these 4 modules here would be welded together. Then this would be welded to this, which would have these storage tanks welded to it as well. all of these docking ports would go away, which is going to dramatically reduce parts in and of itself, as well as the struts. The struts added a ton of parts, right? I mean, if you think about it, each one of these, every strut is 2 parts, right? There's one connector, and they're connected together. So like each one of these struts, I believe is 2 parts. So that added a lot of parts as well. So we wouldn't need the struts anymore, although I think just for the sake of consistency, I'd probably strut it all together anyway. But I would probably weld it with the struts because I feel like it should have struts. I mean, I feel like that's a fair thing. So maybe I'll weld it with the struts. But the struts would still be all one part. I think this probe and the MechJeb unit probably don't even need to be on this anymore, so I probably wouldn't even include those. So this whole thing from this unit here, because I don't want to repeat parts. You don't want to repeat parts in the weldment if you can avoid it. So like, for instance, I want to be able to control each of these independently, and if I have them welded together, I think I wouldn't be able to do that, I don't remember. Either way, this would probably be welded to this, which is welded to the centerpiece, which is welded to this, which is welded to this, and then probably this one too. They're all going to be one part. I'll have to research how that works, because like I want to reduce part count as much as possible, and the idea here essentially is right in the core of this whole thing. You can really do some good things right in the core. These 2 batteries, the life support, the reaction wheel. I probably don't even need the reaction wheels anymore either, so I could probably get rid of those. The tank, this part here, all of the stuff, all the structural stuff. I think the 2 converters, probably we would have these 2 converters. Actually, and to be honest, I'm not even entirely sure I want the 2 converters anymore. I mean, I've already, now I find it to be perfectly, and I'm losing my voice here, I'm sorry, but I find it to be perfectly acceptable, personally, to decide not to bring certain parts back up when I weld it. Adding new things, that's not fair, but taking some parts away, I feel like that's okay, because I've already paid for these, as well as the resources to bring it up here. So if I don't want it on the station now, all that is cost me money before, and then I don't get the functionality. So I feel like that is okay. So I might not have the converters. I think I might. The idea behind the converters was that I would bring ore from the surface of Kerbin. We would use USI Logistics to mine ore on the surface and then bring it up here. And then I would convert it in orbit. That was the mindset, but if that is the case, if that is what we're doing, why not just convert it on the surface and then transport the fuel to the station? I mean, that would make, why not just do that? Same thing with Minmus. I was going to do the same thing with Minmus Station. I was going to have it mined on the surface and then refined in orbit. The whole goal behind that was to minimize parts. So like I wouldn't have to have conversion parts and radiators and all that stuff. I wouldn't necessarily have to have that on the ground base, but I could put it in the station. The problem with that though is that this station already has a ton of parts. And the ground base that's mining ore on Kerbin, yeah, we could probably put some more parts on that. So I think I'm probably going to abandon this whole idea of converting in orbit and just stick with having tanks. So these would probably go away. In that case, whoa. Now the good part about these though is that it's actually creating some space between the docking port for here and the tanks. So maybe I'll have 1 converter instead of 2. In which case, if that's the case and we're having 1 converter, then I can have it welded to the rest of it. So that's fine. Yep, we're still gonna have 2 docking ports on here, and they will be individual docking ports, so they will not be welded to the station. They will not be welded to the main unit because I need to be able to dock to them. Any docking port that I need to actually dock to will need to be its own individual thing. So these docking ports, well, you see, I'm not gonna weld this until I have the station fully assembled. So I am still gonna bring stuff to the station, I think, and attach it to the station before I do the weldment, because I want to pay for the stuff. I want to bring the stuff to there, rendezvous with the station, and dock it successfully. I want to put it together properly. I want to put it together fairly and pay for it, and do all the time and resources that it takes to do it. And then once it's fully assembled how I want, then I'll weld it together and put it up to the HyperEdit. So in that case, I've got 4 tanks to bring up, 4 big fuel tanks to bring up, as well as there is another module that I'm going to put on top of here, although I'm not sure I'm going to need it anymore. I was going to use deep freeze, the deep freeze mod, to where we had some sort of a cryo chamber where we could freeze up to 10 Kerbals. I'm not sure why I would need that anymore because the life support seems more than adequate, but in the event that I'd need it, that might be a good idea. So that was going to be on the tip of this, but I don't know if that's going to happen anymore. Then we have this up here. Now this here is definitely still going to happen. This is our communications array eventually. It's going to, basically there's just this tower of antennas and satellites, and as well as at the very top of it, a interplanetary telescope, a big telescope with some infernal robotics, a rotator disc, if you will, so that I can move the, essentially it's a rotating disc on a hinge, or with a hinge, and then the telescope is on the hinge. So I can rotate the whole telescope 360 degrees without having to move the station, and also tilt it because of the hinge. So it's a really cool little assembly once I get it up here. And it's gonna let me look at pretty much anything I want without having to move the station in order to do it. I'll just move the disc and the hinge, which is really nice. What else needs to be brought up? There's nothing I'm gonna put on the tips of these. I have these on here in case I wanted to essentially bring up certain experiments to run them, and I could just bring them up and dock them here instead of on the Science Center. But I don't know if I'll do that. If I do it, it'll be, this whole thing will be a weldment. This whole thing would end up being a weldment. All these 3 parts, all these parts would be, and then the tips of them would be the docking ports. So this would basically be this whole thing here from here to here. I want the workshop to be, I don't know if I want the workshop to be or not. I don't know how that works as far as transferring crew between things. I thought I wanted the individual modules where Kerbals have to be inhabiting. I thought those had to be individual parts, which wouldn't save me many parts. But then there was all these things down here at the bottom, as well as the cyclotrons and all the struts and all that stuff that I could all merge together. And so the station would end up being probably like, I don't know, I want to say the station would end up being somewhere around 50 parts, 60 parts, which is like so much better than the 200 plus we have now. So I think we have 200 plus. I don't know. I'm not going to count them all, but like each one of these tanks is one, and then there's like a docking port on the bottom of this, and there's a conversion or an adapter up there, and then each one of these we have this hub, and then there's a reaction wheel here, as well as all 4 of them. So that's 5. Each docking port, that's another 5, plus the docking port here, that's 6, 7, 8. There's 7 tanks here, I think. Yep, so that's going to be 15, 16 with the solar panel as well as the adapter on the bottom. That's 17 or 18. I lost count already. See, I lost count already, but you get the point. There's a lot of parts on the station, and that's why it's slow. So when we do get to welding this thing together, if I do, again, I need your approval. I think of you guys as the viewers, honestly. I think of you guys as sort of like the board, right? You see like this what do you call it? Like a corporate structure, if you will. I see myself as the CEO and you guys as the board of directors, right? And like, so I need the board's approval, if you will, to do certain things, right? I do things on my own. I go to the missions I want. We do all that stuff. But like certain things where it's sort of questionable, I feel like I need the board's approval for that. And then your way of firing me is just not watching the series anymore. So there you go. But your way of rewarding me and giving me bonuses is by continuing to watch the series and maybe, just maybe, I'm not saying you have to, I understand, but maybe turning off your ad block when you watch a video. That's another way of rewarding me too. Enough of all that junk. Let's get out of here, right? We're going to the freaking moon, man. So let's make sure, first of all, our fuel is full. I think it's this tank that we were using it out of first. I clicked this, yep. So let's find a fuel tank, probably this one. Yep. And let's go ahead and put, oh, there's only liquid fuel in this tank. Oh, there's no oxidizer. You know what, though? Let's take it out of the plane. We don't need oxidizer, and we don't need any more fuel and oxidizer in the plane. So we'll just take it out of this. Oh, if I can get the game to stop glitching. Oh yeah, there's tons of fuel in here. We'll take in some of this. Now, this is the part where the spoilers start happening. The arches are located here, here, and here. So 2 of them are relatively close to where we've been hanging out anyway. And then there's one on the other side, which is fairly close to where we landed with the lander the first time if you remember the moon science mission that we did, and if you don't, then, well, there's videos in the playlist. It's moon science. I think there's like a 5-video series. I think it's 5 parts for that. I think we landed somewhere like, whoops, the game's skipping again. I think we landed somewhere like over here with that. The science module landed over here, but then our lander, our actual hopper, our nuclear propelled hopper, if you will, kept going around, and I think it landed, maybe it was somewhere closer to here, I think maybe, but anyway, so that's where the arches are, and I think, man, oh man, these skips are, I'm sorry about the jitters, guys, it's the game, not me. I'm trying to move the camera, and I'm trying to move the camera at the same time where it jitters, and so it doesn't jitter, but then once it comes back, it ends up like just basically skipping to where I moved it. So that's like, this is smooth, but like once it starts to skip, you'll see it'll just like slam itself, like there it goes, and bam. So that's what's happening. It's not part of the video, it's nothing I can avoid, it's just part of the game. Yeah, like that. So anyway, this is, I think, the one we're gonna go for first. And then we're gonna take off from this one and go around this way and try to hit this one and this one. Now I think we actually have to land on the surface in order to observe these. So that's gonna be a challenge for Delta V, because I'm not sure we have enough Delta V for that, to be honest. This is the moon station. The moon station, I don't think has any fuel on it. It might be a good idea to get some stuff going with the moon station, only to have refueling. And I don't really care about Kerbals being on it, but as a refueling station, as sort of like an unmanned refueling station, that might be handy, especially if we are going to be doing contracts that have us going to the moon. Because even though we're not going to be spending a whole lot of time on the moon, there's still going to be contracts that want us to go to the moon, and it's still going to happen. So whether it's tourism contracts or things like extracting ore, which we still have to do from Minmus' surface, extract ore. Yeah, we still have to do that. I know, you guys are probably waiting for me to set up my Minmus base. I know, I'll get to it, I promise. It'll happen, okay? I just don't know when it'll happen. It'll probably happen maybe a couple episodes from now. I have some things planned, so I kind of want to get through some of the things I have planned. And the Minmus base is going to take a fairly good time commitment. And since I don't have a whole lot of time to record right now, I kind of want to get as many episodes done as I can. And the Minmus base is going to be a fairly lengthy process, I think. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll have it done in the next couple episodes. We'll see. Anyway, so let's go ahead and time accelerate. Orbit so I can deorbit this stage. Come on, you got this. Oh yeah, we got it. Nice. And we're out of fuel. Okay, so that's it. We are in orbit though. That's good. So now when we get to this part, the Apoapsis, the highest point around a center, around a given body that we're orbiting, the apogee, if you're talking about like Earth, in the perigee. If we are here and I deorbit this retrograde facing prograde, so that the stage gets ejected retrograde, that should deorbit the stage. That should deorbit this junk. So, and hopefully that deorbit does not hit our science station, because it looks like timing wise it might be kind of close. Sorry guys, I don't mean to drop some bombs on you. Let's go ahead and just do that then. So I want to face orbital prograde. Actually, from right now, I want to face retrograde, because then I'll be facing prograde by the time I get there. So face retrograde now, and then as I time accelerate, I'll switch this to facing prograde. And by the time I get over there, I should already be facing barely be facing prograde. So over we go. How much time until we have our Duna stuff? 14 days until our ground base assembly that I'm really nervous about. 14 days until that gets here, gets to its destination, at least to its node, to its maneuver node. I'm pretty nervous about that. If you recall, maybe you don't, if you recall, that ground base package, that is the one, I believe it's episode 58 where we launched it. 57 was the build and the test, and then 58 was when we actually put it into orbit and sent it to Duna. In 58, we got like robbed, like 1,000 Delta V just got robbed from us, and I have no idea why. The main cell engine, when I started to launch to go to Duna, I made sure it had like 1,000 extra Delta V in it. But by the time I actually got to the encounter at Duna, with Duna, it's I'm not even entirely sure I can get into orbit anymore without a serious, massive aero brake. So very nervous about that. We might lose that ground base package as a result. So there's the moon, and when I eject this, it should burn the stage that direction, which is retrograde. It should deorbit this. So we're still going up. So I'm actually gonna, I think this is probably good enough if I'm gonna do it. So here we go. Oh, it didn't work. Let's try again. There we go. Oh yeah. Hopefully that deorbits the stage. Let's check the map. Will the map show me? I don't know if the map will show me debris. Yeah, because I have the tracking station off. As far as tracking debris, I have the tracking station off, so it won't show me that orbit. But I'm pretty confident that that's going to deorbit this, because right now our path at the speed we have brings us into 72K, and so accelerating that direction backwards, it's got to slow it down enough to where it's going to hit the surface. I got to believe it will. Okay. So now we have to get this orbit kind of circular so that we can start looking at the anomalies. So that should put us in a good orbit around the moon so that we can see the arches. Oh yeah. Time accelerate to the maneuver. Let's take a look at it. There's the arches there. They're there. Yep, they're there. That's what I said. I said they're there. Boom. All right, we're gonna start our entrance, what is this burn called? The burn where you stop being in orbit and you go to land. What is that burn called? I don't know. I'm not good with words. I'm not Trump. I don't have the best words. It's the joke I say all the time. I have the best words. What are we doing here? Anomaly survey group is there. Man, this is a really lengthy burn. Ah, man. Thrust to weight ratio, not what I thought it would be. So I guess it's a good thing we have a lot of... well, we at least have a... thrust to weight ratio is at least over 1.0, isn't it? I'm not so sure. I'm actually a little bit concerned over the... I'm very concerned. I am a very concerned person for our delta V that we have. The thrust to weight ratio on this engine. I don't know if I did that right. I don't know if I calculated that properly. Okay, so there's the maneuver. We're falling to the surface now, and I'm hoping that by the time we get down there, the moon will have already rotated a little bit. That's what I'm counting on anyway. I don't see the marker for I don't see the marker for this stuff anymore. Let me look at Waypoint Manager. And which arch is this? Probably the one closest to us, so I'm going to say 66 kilometers. That's the one. That's where we're going to go. And yeah, falling to the surface. Touchdown! Touchdown at arch number 1. We have got 1748 meters per second remaining. I'm still very nervous about our ability to actually do this. To actually get all of the arches in one flight. I'm pretty nervous about that. But we do have some Kerbals now that have been to the moon, landed on the moon, orbit the moon. They all have that. They all have that going for them now, so that's pretty great. Land the moon. Yep, orbit around the moon. Pretty good. So let's get a Kerbal over to that arch. We have to actually be in the arch, I think, in range of the arch in order to actually fulfill this contract. So if I go to here, this is arch number 3. So that's the third arch. So if I was to get over there with a Kerbal, that probably would work. So let's get Adblez. You have the honors, dude. There we go. There we go. You have the honors of being the first to get out there. I am going to extend this panel just so we don't run out of electricity. And then I'm going to let go, and we're going to use our EVA suits to go on over to the arches and claim it. Not claim it, but investigate. It's probably best to have an engineer. Yeah, it's probably best to have a scientist go and investigate it, right? We'll see if he gets any extra experience for visiting the arches. My guess is probably not, but we'll see. Target is just 470 meters away. And frame rate's kind of getting hit here too. I'm wondering if there's like a... Yeah, frame rate's really dying here. Wow. Okay, yeah. It's kind of like the monolith. When I was doing Bartman's funeral service, it was doing the same thing. It was just really terrible frame rates near the anomalies. Really bad. Okay, so there we are. Here's the arch. Looks pretty cool. Yeah. Oh, here we go. Maybe we should hang some decorations from the arch, spruce it up a bit. You mean like hang a flag on the arch? Is that what you mean? Well, there we are. We have landed on the surface of the moon near the arch, or near one of the arches, one of the 3 arches. There we go. Oh yeah. Can I stand on it? Can we actually, let's try that. Can we actually get on top of this thing? I need to make sure I don't run out of EVA propellant, but I mean I have a lot, so I don't think it'll be a problem. Let's get Adblez up. Can we actually, if we can stand on the top of this thing, that'd be sweet. Oh, come on, don't skip out on me. Come on. Come on, game. I have a feeling this is just a graphical thing, that it's not really a surface that I can be with. But if it is something that I can actually interact with, that would be cool. In fact, you know what? I might put a flag on top of this thing. By the looks of it, it looks like it's just a graphical thing by the texturing, but we'll see. Let's see if I can land on it. Oh, I can. I can land on the arch. I was actually pretty shocked. It looked like a visual thing, so the texturing is not that great, but performance is also horrible here. But Ablez, you are going to put a flag on the top of the arch to prove to all that we have been here. Now it's going to hurt frame rates even more because the flag counts as a craft. Moon Arch 3. Ablez was here. Cool. Okay, well, that's arch number 1. We still have 2 more to go get, so let's get Ablez back to the ship. Yep, there's definitely some... Ooh, our impact timer was only 1 second. I was trying to figure out what the hell that was about. Back to the Archfinder. I don't know if you guys noticed the name of this, but it's actually called the Archfinder. That's the name of this this craft we have here. Appropriately named for, I think, obvious reasons. It is the craft we're using to find the arches. Although, again, I am worried about our ability to actually do that. I think maybe only 2 arches can be found in this journey. I don't think I have enough fuel to do all 3. And even if I did have enough fuel to do all 3, I'm not entirely sure I have enough fuel to get them home. I think I have to choose all 3, or like do all 3 of them and then come up and send a rescue mission, or do 2 of them and then go home, and then have to send another craft up to do the other one. I'm not sure which one would be best. I'm kind of thinking the first option is probably the better option, because then we get the contract completed and we get the money, and then when we send up something to do the when we send up something to refuel them, right, we already have an engineer. Ablez is right here, and on top of that we can send it as an unmanned craft anyway, so we just basically like a supply drop next to them. So I think we might do that. I think we might just get all of them and then send a resupply ship to get them more fuel so they can come home. And that resupply ship is going to have I'm gonna have to make sure there's some storage on that for CCR2 ports, because there's no CCR2s on this vessel. So okay, Ablez, can you get in this? No. Yes. Okay, good. Okay, Moon Arch number 1 complete. Pretty stoked about that. Let's extract this panel and take a look at our map, and we want to get to this one now, I think, because if we're going to do 2 of them, we might as well do the 2 that are close together, and then we can judge whether or not we can do the 3rd from there. I'm pretty sure, I'm almost 100% positive that I'm going to have to choose whether or not I want to get all 3 in one flight or 2 and then go home. Yeah, so we're going to go to get this one now. That means we need to go northwest, mostly west. So, let's see. Northwest, mostly west. 90 degrees is east, so we need to go this way. So let's turn our RCS on, SAS on, and let's go that way. 2 arches down, 1 more to go. Unfortunately, we won't be able to do that one in this episode because we're kind of out of fuel. We have about 420 meters per second of delta V remaining, which is not enough to get into orbit, let alone go to the destination we want to go to. We do have a bunch of monopropellant, but I'm pretty sure I can't get the speed I need in the amount of time that it would take before I would crash and burn into the ground. So we are gonna have to send a refueling rig to this thing. Oh yeah, that's gonna be the next episode though. So stay tuned, guys. If you like this episode, give me a thumbs up. Let me know you like it. If you're not already, subscribe. It's gonna be fun. And hopefully this episode was full of a bunch of cool stuff that you enjoy. Until next time, I am Charlie, and I will see you next time. Bye.